They don't own you. You're not slaves. So you've got the right to withdraw your labour whenever you like.
He's an imposing figure in Victoria's construction sector.
John Setka is very well known across the country for being a pretty forceful character. He plays it hard, he plays it tough, and he has done for a very long time.
John Setka was the leader of the CFMEU in Victoria and Tasmania for 12 years. A reign that has seen the CFMEU's power grow with extraordinary force.
They have the ability to mobilise and put people on the streets very quickly and to put forward an image that really intimidates and sends fear through a lot of people.
In 2019, he was expelled from the Labor Party after reports that he accused Rosie Batty of harming men's rights.
What was reported in relationship to Rosie Batty is completely false.
And he pleaded guilty to harassing his estranged wife after sending her a barrage of abusive text messages.
I screwed up, and it's up to me to fix it.
Late last week, John Setka's leadership ended abruptly when the Nine newspapers revealed allegations that underworld crime figures had taken lucrative union roles.
Orman was convicted of a gangland murder in 2009. Following his release, he became involved with 9 construction companies.
John Setka himself was accused of using intimidation tactics, leaving a suitcase in a CFMEU rival's driveway etched with the words, "The Dog."
I have absolutely zero tolerance for this sort of bullying, thuggish, appalling, rotten behaviour.
Today, the focus turned to the Prime Minister Anthony Albanese and the Victorian Premier Jacinta Allen. This morning, 9 newspapers reported both were sent letters by an Indigenous labour hire firm in 2022, complaining union officials were threatening extreme violence against them and unlawfully banning non-union preferred companies from state and federally funded infrastructure projects. Jacinta Allen took more than a year to respond to that letter.
This is clearly an issue that needs to be addressed. It's clear that the correspondence was not processed quickly enough.
The federal government says it's considering deregistering the union's construction division, while the Victorian Labor Party says it would no longer accept its donations. Premier Jacinta Allen has referred allegations of serious misconduct to Victoria Police and IBAC.
The Victorian government has been very slow out of the blocks here. They feigned being shocked and surprised by all of this. Nobody in Melbourne is shocked and surprised by this.
The federal government is now considering appointing an independent administrator to overhaul the CFMEU. The executive of the peak body for Australian unions will meet tomorrow to consider the fate of its scandal-plagued member. Sally McManus is the Secretary of the Australian Council of Trade Unions. She joins me now from Melbourne. Sally McManus, welcome to 7:30.
It's good to be here, I guess.
Now, indeed, we understand that the federal government is reportedly preparing to appoint an administrator to overhaul the CFMEU. Do you support that decision?
Well, firstly, Sarah, I want to say this. We've got to be very clear about what we're dealing with. We are dealing with organised crime that has infiltrated one of our unions. That is a very serious matter. And we, as a trade union movement, will not tolerate it. We will stand up against it. We will do whatever is necessary to kick them back out of our movement and to close the door shut. It's a serious matter when organised crime get their tentacles into any union, and every measure has to be taken to get rid of them. In terms of what's been floated in terms of an independent administrator, this is something that unions have sought themselves occasionally when there's big issues that they can't address. I think that this is a good move for the CFMEU to get an independent administrator appointed by the courts. It allows them to have the space and to do what is necessary to be part of a push, which we will all be part of, to get rid of organised crime out of our union movement.
We'll come to what you knew when, but just to stay with this for the moment, should that administrator have the power to compel testimony, to demand documents, to refer matters to police?
Well, of course they would refer matters to the police. That would be a normal thing of anyone running an organisation. In terms of what should happen in terms of the allegations regarding organised crime, this is absolutely a matter for the police, and I do understand there's various task forces. I'm not an expert in those, but I would imagine that people will want to cooperate. We will want to cooperate with the police because it can't be just us standing up to them. It's got to be, we need the support of everyone, the police as well as employers, as well as, you know, all Australians. We don't want to see this in our country.
Why did the union movement and the Labor government as well have to be shamed into taking action by the media?
Sarah, I would say this, that investigation, I understand, took 9 months. It had a lot of resources put into it. I had heard rumours around the place, but, you know, after 60 minutes, it's well and truly, you know, on the table about what is happening. And, you know, once you know that organised crime is actually in a union, you've got to take, you know, measures to do everything you can to get rid of it.
When you say you heard rumours, what did you do when you heard rumours about the involvement of organised crime in the construction division of the CFMEU?
I never heard rumours of organised crime being involved. There were Facebook posts of people that people alleged were bikies or used to be bikies. I'd always raise those issues immediately with the relevant leaders of the CFMEU at the time, and made it very clear that, you know, there's no place for this in our union movement.
Did you do anything more than just raise the existence of Facebook pages? Did you report them to police or other authorities?
Well, it's more when people brought them to my attention, and the answers I got back about that, except in the case of Zack Smith, the new National Secretary, who went about finding out everything he could and then putting in place measures within his union to have a code of conduct to start removing people that appeared to be connected to various groups. He did start doing that, and I would expect cooperate with the police. At that time, there was no allegations of any wrongdoing. The allegations of wrongdoing came out on Sunday night.
Are you saying that in those reports that you heard and in the action you took, no further detail was brought to you or to Zack Smith about the involvement of members or associates of bikie gangs in the activities of the CFMEU?
Yeah, no information whatsoever brought to me about that before the allegations have been aired by that other network.
So there's no question that you've been ignoring allegations made against the CFMEU because you were fearful of the union's power and influence? No,
of course not. Of course not. Here I am saying we'll stand up against organised crime.
Well, you're saying that, I beg your pardon, but you're saying that now in the wake of media reporting. I want to understand what you knew and what you did before those reports were made public.
Oh, I've given you those answers.
And that's all you have to say, that when it comes to reports of organised crime, bikies being involved, being given positions in the CFMEU, were you aware of those specific allegations?
Absolutely not.
So just go into some detail about the Facebook post. What was being alleged about those members of organised crime gangs in those Facebook posts you're referring to, if you would?
Well, Sarah, it might surprise you, I don't know, but I actually don't know much about bikie gangs or about organised.
There's a great deal of information on the public record about them. Well, it's not hard to find.
Well, maybe, but that's not my area of expertise. When people have pointed out a Facebook post that's got a picture of someone in it that they alleged was connected to this or that, I raised that immediately with people. I didn't know myself, whether that was true.
And did you raise those questions directly with officials from the CFMEU?
Yes.
In Victoria?
National leaders. I deal with national leaders.
So you said that the national leader did make some efforts to get back to you with answers about that. What was he able to discover about the infiltration of bikie gang members or underworld figures into his union?
Well, he was very concerned about that and wanted to make sure that there was just no question that their delegates or officials had one loyalty, and their loyalty is the union, and that there was no place for dual loyalties there, and that those people would be removed. I know that he went about developing a code of conduct, and he went about doing what's necessary internally to implement that.
And yet what we can see from the reports by the 9 papers is that there was activity by these people accused of being associated with bikie gangs over a long period of time. So it sounds that whatever Zack Smith did, it was ineffectual.
Well, it was only the leader of a small period of time, and clearly these people do have their tentacles in there, absolutely, and that all good people, and there's good people in the CFMEU, and everyone else, every other union in the union movement will stand up against it.
Now, there are reports of CFMEU officials threatening an Indigenous labour hire company with extreme violence is the allegation. They claim those reports went to Jacinta Allen in Victoria and also to the Prime Minister. We know that Jacinta Allen received those reports. Did you also receive reports of threats of extreme violence against Indigenous labour hire companies?
No, I didn't. I'd like to say to Tammy Nash that I'm really, really sorry what happened to Ben, and that good, strong unions, union delegate should have been the person there supporting your son. I'm very sorry and condolence to her.
Should all existing EBAs negotiated by the CFMEU anywhere be re-examined?
No, I think that'd be a very bad idea. I think that'd be a very bad idea because I don't believe there's allegations about all the EBAs. You've got to remember these are workers' wages and conditions. You don't just rip up workers' wages and conditions and have just a whole lot of innocent people affected. We don't do that.
So what do you do? Because what's clear from the reporting that we've seen is that the CFMEU, the construction branch in Victoria, was using those EBAs essentially as a commodity. Given that we know that, how can you have confidence in other EBAs that were struck around the same time by the same people?
Well, I mean, you've got to remember there's really big companies as well where probably most people work. I don't think there would be any allegations there. Where there have been allegations which have been, aired, and I've seen them about those particular companies, I do agree they should be cancelled. Those particular EBAs, absolutely.
But you don't think there should be a wider examination of EBAs?
I don't think that... Look, if there was a reason to, but I don't think there's any evidence of a need to do that. This appears to be, and mind you, I'm going from, the reports that I'm reading every day, that it appears to be in one particular area to do with labour hire companies in one particular state.
And yet, at the same time, there have been investigations about the relationship between organised crime and labour hire companies going back more than 10 years. Why has it taken the ACTU reports by the 9 papers to come to the conclusion that this is a truly rotten division or divisions within the union?
I reject that. What evidence of this type of thing happening before? I'm genuinely shocked and absolutely furious about it. There'd be no way we'd be sitting back and not acting if we knew this were the case.
Sally McManus, thank you very much indeed for joining us. We'll be talking to you again, no doubt. Thank you.
Thank you.